What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Fierce, Favored, and Spiritually Grounded. I'm your life coach and host, Tanya Williams. In this episode, we're going to talk about how to be a virtuous woman. So many of us have heard this, and we have a desire to be this, and I've been asked the question, how do I become a virtual woman? Well, Proverbs 31:30-31 says, a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. And the one thing about being a virtual woman, I don't think there's a particular secret or a guide to it. I think we just got to be very intentional about doing what's right. So I've come up with a couple of things today to just give you 4 steps on how to be a virtuous woman. And the first thing about it is there's so much more to our jobs and our lives than just being there and doing it. We are also put there to be a light in those places. Sometimes people think that just because you're in ministry, it has to be tied to a church and things like that. But, being in corporate America, that could be your assignment of ministry as well, is to just to be the light in those type places, because ministry is everywhere you go. So you just have to be really intentional in finding and making those moments. So just remember that, many people look at society, celebrities, media, fashion, and so on for what a real woman should look and act like and how she should live. But I'm committed to, letting the Bible be my moral compass when it comes to that, according to Proverbs 31. And the virtuous woman is the ideal woman. Virtuous means being a person of power, either in mind, body, or both. And although we can never be all things to all people at times, because we'll never be perfect, but we should always seek to live our lives with honor, grit, and grace. So no matter what our age or place in life, where we work or anything like that, we should still strive to be and do everything in excellence. And I think, to me, that's what a virtual woman is. So I'm going to give you 4 reminders of how a the virtue should try to act, live, and carry herself according to what the Bible says. So remember your value. Don't forget the value of a virtuous woman. She's really defined by God, and the value can never be overemphasized. So different seasons of life bring about mixed emotions for all of us. You might find yourself feeling anxious, nervous, excited, content, or all over the place, burdened. But remember, the circumstances you're facing today does not define you. God clearly chose you to experience this journey for a reason. So God defines us as us, like you and me. So if I was having a hard day, and feeling inadequate as a mom or at work, as a life coach, as a wife, as a daughter or a sister even, and someone reminded me that, I'm the perfect mom for my kids because God chose me for them. So you were chosen for such a time as this, whatever your this is. So just remember that a virtuous woman contributes to overall goodness and moral and integrity. So she takes care of her body. She's aware of the language she uses and makes a lifestyle choice that are not selfish or shallow. A virtuous woman does these things for she knows she's a woman of great worth and beauty. Judy Garland once said, always be a first-rate version of yourself instead of a second-rate version of somebody else. Ooh, that is so good. I really like that. As a life coach, my tagline is helping you become the best version of yourself. And I really came up with that because I believe God created us all to be just like we are, individuals. He didn't create us to be like Sarah Jakes Roberts or even T.D. Jakes or, a duplication of them or anything like that. He created us to be us. And so we have to remember that our gifts and our talents and the way He created us is how He intends for us to be. And y'all, if He can use a donkey, He can use us the way we are. So just because you want to be a virtuous woman or have a desire to do this, these principles are not hard to live by. Some of us may have to change some of the way we talk in our actions and things like that, but you can still have fun and enjoy life and still apply all these to your everyday activity. So number 2 is you got to remember your family. So don't forget to attend to your family. I got caught up doing that like when I first got in ministry. To be honest, I couldn't balance the two. I was either spending way too much time on the ministry side and letting stuff slide at home, or vice versa. So you got to find that perfect balance. You know, a virtuous woman is busy with activities that pertain to the good and the well-being of her parent, siblings, and her husband, and her children, and work, and everything else. You know how we are as women. You know, we wear so many hats. But even though I have a husband and a family of my own, you know, honor your father and mother, you know, just like in the Bible. Still have the privilege while you can of honoring your parents, you know, every day. Even if it's just like, you know, to call and check on them. I try to call my mom and check on her every day on my way home from work. But now, since COVID is not here, I'm not driving to and from work anymore. I'm working from home. So I have to kind of tweak and change the way I do things. And some days I do get busy and I forget. But I have to remind myself that, you know, I still have to call and check on her. But my husband's also really good. He talks to his mother every day. So he usually will ask me, have you talked to your mom today? And so that's a good way to help me remind sometimes with working at home that, you know, I need to call and check in on her. So a virtuous woman, she shows respect, she's trustworthy, and she's a helper. She nurtures, teaches, and values discipline. Number 3, remember your characteristics. This is so good. I think having good character, either you have it or you don't. And the characteristics of a virtuous woman is she's a woman of force and power. You know, sometimes it's easy to make our circumstances and daily task a priority over relationship with God, but He wants to be the only one, not number one. So, you know, a virtuous woman is mindful of God and honors Him in His ways. She's loyal and pure. She is kind and selfless. She's cheerful instead of being bitter and complaining. She is wise and dignified. She serves with all her heart, mind, and soul. And she sees God's purpose for her life and follows it. And she uses her time wisely. Last and not least, which is the best, you know, they always say save the best for last, is remember your reward. Don't forget the reward of being a virtuous woman. It's a woman of real power. Too often great women go unnoticed without praise. And, you know, don't get upset if you go for a season without being noticed or, you know, getting any kind of recognition. I served years before I started getting anything. You know, I supported so many people, and I had someone to interview me on the radio the other day, and they asked, they were just like, what is going on with you? You know, I see you all over the place. You're just booming, doing this, this, and this. And I was like, it's just my season. You know how sometimes you serve in the background so long, eventually God will bring you to the forefront. And it will be your season too. So, but this is not the case with a virtuous woman. You know, Proverbs 31:31 says, reward her for all she has done, yet let her deeds publicly declare her praise. So society likes to praise and define us, but God doesn't use the same dictionary. So maybe your gratitude, the girl who just, you know, got dumped, the single girl, the girl who just lost someone special, or the girl who's just, you know, has straight A's. But you got to realize, whatever the circumstance is, you fill in the blank, you're still chosen by God and for Him, not this world. So above and beyond all the praise and recognition that we can get from the world, heaven is the ultimate reward for God's people. So we can look around today and see, you know, that we desperately need more women who are seeking to be virtuous women of Proverbs 31 and not Hollywood version of Real Women of Housewives or anything like that. So God's women are virtuous women. And it's one real substance and one lasting quality. And she offers important contributions to herself, her family, society as a whole. In all you do, make God look good. So that is pretty much it for a virtuous woman for me. That's how I see it. And that's kind of like